Namaste and welcome viewers. You're watching India Tonight. I'm Ashish, Parikh, being joined by my colleague Sumita, Kareer as well. And again, we'll get you all the details, all the big news from the world of business and finance. But again, the biggest discussion across the country right now is the Bihar elections, and we need to get you everything that's happened. It was polling day today. The phase 1 of assembly election polls in Bihar concluded on 121 assembly constituencies, and this, of course, had some very big names in the fray. CM Nitish Kumar, Deputy CM Samrat Chaudhary, Chirag Paswan, RJD leader and India Bloc Chief Minister candidate Tejashwi Yadav, and also RJD Supremo Lalu Prasad Yadav. All of these bigwigs were among the political leaders who cast their vote under phase 1.
State recorded 60.13% voting under phase 1. This is higher than previous polls in 2020. Both the NDA and the Congress RJD-led Mahagathbandhan have led intense campaigning in the state to woo the voters. In fact, speculations are also rife if Prashant Kishore's Jan Suraj will play a spoiler this election. In fact, to decode all that's transpired in phase 1 of the Bihar polls, and of course before that as well, I'm now joined by Madhavan Narayanan. He's a senior journalist, and of course, joining him is Rajat Sethi. He's a political commentator. Thank you very much, Mr. Sethi and Mr. Narayanan, for taking the time out and speaking to us here on 80 Now. Let me come to you first, Mr. Narayanan. This election is definitely going to be an important election as far as the Hindi heartland is concerned, especially after 2024 elections. And in the Hindi heartland, if you see, the BJP was deprived of a majority on its own. But today we have seen record voter turnout. Does that signal a shift in Bihar politics? And will the turnout have an impact on the remaining phases?
Let me first say a simple yes to the fact that this is a significant shift in politics, but the reasons may not be as simplistic as you would suggest. I don't know about the second phase, because the second phase is probably going to be a lot like the first phase, as I see it, with high turnout. The most significant part is that the two things I want to say, which is often not being discussed, although it's there, is staring at you in the face. Let me begin by first pulling your leg a bit, because you referred to Jan Suraj party as Jan Suraj party, which might be an accidental, insight, because the sun is just about rising for that party. It's a Suraj party, so we have to see how it goes. It's everything we say till the results come out will be just a matter of speculation, and because it's a completely untested idea that an upper caste leader in a caste-dominated, OBC-dominated state is trying to throw his personality-oriented, style. Having said that, this election is significant because what I, as an Indian, as somebody who understands or tries to watch the close relations between economics and politics, I find this election very significant because a lot of economic issues are on the table, including jobs and growth and investment, and also migration of workers to and back to the case. The migration from Bihar is a fact, whereas the attempted migration or an arresting of migration is back on the table for the first time in your face politically. All this is significant. Now, looking at the turnout, I am very clear about two things perhaps. One is that the average Bihar voter is completely conscious this time of the fact that his or her, or should I say her or his, vote is really going to count. Because turnouts typically increase on two occasions. One where there is an anti-incumbency mood. This is the chewing gum for psephologists. Anti-incumbent, high turnout, anti-incumbency. But I don't see it that simply, because both NDA and Mahagathbandhan have campaigned very aggressively with a sense of detail rarely seen in Indian politics at the state level elections. And that brings me to the second point, which is that although we keep saying BJP or RJD or maybe Congress sometimes, essentially this is a long tail election. Please mark my word. This expression might help you in the coming days, because there are lots of small parties, caste-based groups, individual leaders, mavericks. Everybody is actually bringing up a long tail. This is like the Mahabharata. Everybody remembers only the Pandavas and Kauravas, but please remember, there were lots of small kings who actually had nothing to do with the core issues at stake, who are part of these two. This is the land of the Mahabharata. So there is a Mahabharat going on with a lot of, could you imagine that the Vikassheel Insan Party VIP, which is if you look at the caste hierarchy, it's a minor one, but it's directly being promised a deputy
Absolutely.
chief minister's job, which reminds me of Cho Ramaswamy's celebrated satirical play Muhammad bin Tughlaq, in which he had predicted in the 60s, 1960s, about how so many deputy chief ministers might happen in India the way things are. So we have to take a philosophical look at this. Having said that, the
Right.
significance of these, if you want the takeaway from me, one is that don't simplistically reduce anti-incumbency either to women turning out, which is a huge number today, or to anti-incumbency. The high turnout can be either way. The power of the individual voter has
Absolutely.
well and truly arrived in Bihar.
Absolutely. In fact, to build more on this, I'll take this question across to Mr. Sethi as well. Mr. Sethi, now the thumb rule that we've seen all over these years is that whenever there is a rise in the voter turnout, it's usually assumed that it is going to benefit the opposition. It is an anti-incumbency that we're looking at. But here, interestingly, I spoke to a lot of reporters on ground as well. There were a lot of women voters, and you heard Amit Shah also speak today about the fact that Jivika Didis had got 10,000 in their bank accounts, and Lalu's son was trying to get back that 10,000, and they would do anything to do that once they came, to power. So, do you think the fact that this surge now that we're looking at, the turnout, as far as 5 p.m. is concerned, was over 60%, which is much higher compared to 2020 when it was 57.05%, and even in 2015 it was somewhere around 56 and 57%. So, Mr. Sethi, the fact that the turnout is now higher, who do you think this is going to benefit? Do you think this is now going to help the BJP consolidate their women votes, or do you think this is now a tide that is turning in favor of the Mahagathbandhan?
Well, Ashish, there are too many questions packed in. Let me parse it one by one. First, there is no conclusive evidence published by any researcher which claims that higher polling percentage results in either anti-incumbency or pro-incumbency. So this entire question is moot, carries no significance, no meaning. Second, a lot of bogus voters have been deleted because of the SIR exercise, which will also result in having more bona fide voters, genuine voters who would go out and actually poll. So this is another reason why the voting percentage has gone up. And we also saw significant deletions that happened because of various reasons that the Election Commission had pointed out at time to time through various press conferences. Third, around this phenomena of women voters, and there is this term which is going around in Bihar, which is called Das Hazaris, that the 10,000 rupees of cash transfer which has happened. I go by first principles in elections, because broadly speaking, these first principles hold the most strongly, instead of worrying too much about the long tail. And I'll take a sort of a different position from what the esteemed panelist was just mentioning. Look at the broad strokes that have been put onto the election canvas. We've seen that in Maharashtra. In Maharashtra recently, there was a lot of tug of war between various castes for reservation claims. There were movements on the ground, very emotionally charged environment. But BJP was still able to sweep the election, have 4/5 majority in the state, primarily because of the cash transfer scheme. Is it something which is futuristic and a good scheme, and we should all be happy about it? I don't belong to that school of thought, but fortunately, unfortunately, that's the reality. And I believe that is the biggest, broadest stroke that has been put upon onto this canvas, which is going to dominate all other combinations, all other aspects. Final point is that the sheer arithmetic of caste in the state of Bihar has always been in a way that Nitish's combination with either NDA, with BJP, or Nitish's vote shares combination with the RJD ensures that whichever side has Nitish on, arithmetically has a greater or a stronger hold. This has sustained through several tests in the past across various formations of alliances. Even in 2020, when there was this steep shadow of COVID looming on to Nitish Kumar, there was distress of migrant workers all throughout the state, and still Nitish Kumar was able to hold on to power. Principal reason is arithmetic, favors the caste combinations, the Mahadalits, Dalits, the EBCs, the Ati Pichhada Samaj. All of these come together with the upper caste vote that the BJP brings. This adds up on an arithmetic basis on above RJD and Congress combined. And on top of that, 4-5% additional vote, women vote that Nitish has been able to pull for sequence of elections in the past is hinting towards NDA trying to retain elections. That's the broad analysis that I would say.
Right. Right, Mr. Sethi, so of course we'll have to see whether all of these factors that you have enumerated will end up having a significant impact at this election. But let me ask you one more question, then we'll come to you, Mr. Narayanan. And I'm taking your point across as far as small parties are concerned. You said that small parties are coming up in a big way. Mr. Sethi, are voters ready to look at smaller parties or a third alternative, if not during this election, then perhaps in the next few years? I mean, we did also speak about how the sun is just rising for the Jan Suraj party. So is the Prashant Kishore phenomena here to stay, at least, I mean, in the longer run? If you could respond to that, Mr. Sethi.
So, see, Jan Swaraj is a new, they need to, stay with the voters for extended periods of time. They need to spend time with them, solve their issues, very granular issues, and build credibility. Just the media noise that the leader of the party tries to make and hogs the limelight alone is not going to result in votes. Credibility established over time, or you have to ride an emotional wave, which is happening. And if none of that is there, then I believe, gathering and having 2 or 3% vote also in a largely fragmented third front in a state like Bihar is going to be extremely hard. Therefore, my suggestion to Prashant Kishore would be, whenever given a challenge and whenever you are trying to put yourself in the frame of a challenger, then contest elections. Don't, under any circumstance, walk away from contesting elections when you are in electoral politics, no matter what the consequences are. The biggest mistake, in my opinion, that Jan Swaraj Party made was when they decided that Prashant Kishore himself will not contest. Pick a leaf from how Arvind Kejriwal built a movement and then a party. He contested not from a safe seat, but the biggest challenger seat of Sheila Dikshit. He went ahead and then said, fine, if I lose an election, but I will go out into the den and challenge. That's how a challenger has to be seen. And I believe it was a missed opportunity by Prashant Kishore. Therefore, I don't see Jan Swaraj Party posing any threat or gathering any percentage vote or winning any seats whatsoever in this election. They'll have to wait it out. They have to slog it out.
Right. Mr. Narayanan, I need your take on this, because it's a very interesting, assessment that Mr. Sethi is doing here, that the fact that, he's lost an opportunity, but if you look at it, he's got a lot of media coverage. In fact, I would argue that he's got a lot more media coverage than some of the opposition leaders as well. In fact, he's been very vocal. He's spoken about issues that we did not see being, brought up in campaigns in the past as far as Bihar elections is concerned. What more could he have done? I mean, he still remains confident. There were talks about him not being confident enough to contest on his own as well. Mr. Narayanan, do you think Jan Swaraj finally will be able to, make a mark beyond all of those rallies and media appearances, or do you think it is an opportunity lost and there is a lot more that he could have done?
I think my friend Rajat Sethi was making a very nice moral speech there, full, appreciation for that. But, unfortunately, we have to look at the numbers and the ground details. And I think Mr. Prashant Kishore himself has absolutely no illusion of winning anything more than 2 seats or 3 seats in this election. If you look at the way candidates have been fielded by the Jan Swaraj Party, they are heavily biased towards Yadavs or Muslims or upper caste. He's here to show the BJP as well as the Mahagathbandhan that, look, I can't be the king, but I know who can. I have tremendous nuisance value, and I can get started with this nuisance value. And because I have seen the rise of parties like Bahujan Samaj Party, which came out of nowhere. So I never say never in politics, especially in the backdrop of the Women's World Cup cricket, in which, beyond the logical things, 2 of the star performers, Jemima Fernandez and Dipti Sharma, were almost not there, so they were called in. And therefore, I always use some extra logical analysis sometimes to see how much one can influence the elections as opposed to simply winning, because that's how the parliamentary system works. So I agree broadly that there's whether it's a missed opportunity or just a little baby step forward depends on the half full, half empty kind of looking at the situation. I would like to, of course, address other points that Rajat Sethi mentioned. One is the Nitish Kumar factor, which brought back memories of a Belgian prime minister when I was first visiting Belgium, that he headed about 7 or 8 coalitions where the parties under him kept changing, but he remained the prime minister. Now, Nitish Kumar is in that sweet spot where if I won't rule out even a hung assembly in which Nitish might end up getting support from some of the minor parties which are now part of the Mahabandhan. So, and I've seen that in Indian politics, parliamentary politics in general, and Bihar in particular, reasons are invented later and after the power equations are formed. So that is one thing I want to mention. As far as the SIR is concerned, let me tell you very bluntly that the ghost is not going to go away. Apart from the fact that Bengal and Tamil Nadu are still getting started on their special intensive revision of electoral rolls, the Bihar, the deletion of 6.5 million voters is absolutely no joke. If you look at the electoral outcome last elections in 2020, most of the dozens of constituencies had vapor-thin margins of 1,000, 2,000, and 5,000. And the deletion of voters, even if you take away 50% of the deletions as absolutely bona fide, based on people having moved elsewhere or illegal immigrants or dead or whatever, it's still 3 million is a huge number. If you spread it across the constituencies, it basically leaves room for the opposition to cry foul. And they will continue to cry foul if NDA wins. And if Mahagathbandhan wins, the script is ready. They try to harm us and still we swept it. So I'm not going to go there. This drama will continue. The point that you and I, as Rajat Sethi talked about, media coverage and this and that. The fact is that, as they say in Britain, the battle of Waterloo was found won in the playing fields of Eton. Sometimes there's a lot of backroom work needed. So to that extent, a lot of questions hang in the air. I am now. Let me stick my neck out because I'm on ET now and not in some regional channel nitpicking on constituencies. That this might well prove to be the beginning of the decline of completely caste-oriented politics in India, because caste is peaking as a concept, because the minor caste groups are trying to, having awakened politically, are translating some of it as economically and socially, and every individual voter is becoming more empowered. So there will be a lot of fluidity going forward. And I, as a long-term observer of politics, will look for the little data points of fluidity rather than who will win this election. But that is going to be significant. And that also means what it means to the budgets, because let's face it, one last point I want to make is that populism is now across the board. BJP is also a populist party, whether it's Maharashtra or Bihar. So have no illusion that this party is not populist. It's as populist as they come. They might talk in drawing rooms against
Absolutely. Absolutely, no one can take a high moral ground on, populist freebies, etc. But let me, come to you, Mr. Sethi, on these couple of points that Mr. Narayanan has made. A, about caste. Is this not going to be as relevant in this election? And secondly, about the issue of SIR. Although Rahul Gandhi, just before the election, he came up with that press conference and did make a lot of voters think about the issue. But will the revelations that Rahul Gandhi has just made, will those end up having an impact in the outcome of these elections? How much will they make a dent as far as the Bihar elections are concerned?
Well, Sumita, there was a hydrogen bomb last night. You and I are safe, and I hope that the Bihari citizens are also safe. Again, see, you need to present data in a way which creates enough seeds of suspicion, not in the hope of you getting some gains in an election, but to genuinely reform the process. Now, is the intention to genuinely do theatrics or reform the process is a key question. Each time you bring out issues, you are corrected. Each time you say that, some sweetie from Brazil, a photo was pasted and she voted 100 times, 200 times. Is it practically possible that within 7 to 10 hours of voting in any election day, you can hop around in hundreds of booths and go out and vote? That's not practical. He himself has been saying, has been making extreme claims, and he himself is building a case for SIR. His entire politics in Bihar was that SIR is false. And then he goes out and says that, see, electoral rolls have so much of junk, so much of duplication, so much of fraud that you need to clean up. So you need to coherently speak as to what do you want. A, does election commission needs to come out clean on all electoral rolls? 100%. That is what is SIR about. That is what a very painstaking exercise will be done across the country to remove duplication, to remove fraudulent entries, all of that. Secondly, did these entities that Rahul Gandhi has called out, how does Rahul Gandhi know that Sweetie voted for BJP and not for Congress party? Was he peeping into the EVMs? How is he establishing and jumping several loops here and trying to come to a conclusion that BJP is gaining out of it? Where are you establishing that? And how are you trying to say that in such a decentralized election where thousands and thousands of people are involved at multiple stages, including his own party's booth workers, can't they identify some electoral rolls in each page? You basically know what family, what voters, etc. What is your organization people doing? That you have to wake up 14 months after the election is already done. For even in Bihar election, if you were so serious about SIR, from August all the way till October, you went missing. You did not even visit the state of Bihar, and there was no complaints that were filed against the SIR formally, which reached to a level of an appeal at the election commission. So how serious are you about the election to actually make it that potent a rallying point where you want the Gen Z to come out and hit the streets? So let's stay away from all of this theatrics. There is much to be answered by the election commission, but no politics should happen on it. Last point on caste. I don't think caste is going away anywhere. We are seeing counter caste assertions happening from all sides. The opposition party led by Mr. Rahul Gandhi wants even in private sector that reservation should come.
Absolutely.
How is then caste going away? You are further trying to reinforce the caste as a main identity
Absolutely.
pillar.
Mr. Sethi, you're making a very interesting point there, and I think I'll also give some room to Mr. Narayanan to respond to this. Mr. Narayanan, again, coming back to the conversation about SIR here, Mr. Sethi says that, you know, when it comes to data, when it comes to all the allegations that are being made by the opposition, by the Mahagathbandhan, by Rahul Gandhi, it just hasn't stuck when it comes to the common man. And also, Mr. Narayanan, an additional point that I want to make is today I saw images of Mr. Tejashwi Yadav, you know, go out there and vote with his family. This was the same leader who, I think a month and a half ago, came out all guns blazing against the government, saying that his name was also taken out of the voter list during the SIR. In a couple of hours, then the EC fact-checked him that his name was there on the 4th page. Now, do you not think that this creates an illusion that everything that the opposition is saying is hollow and does not make any sense, even though there could be some sort of a merit to it? Do you think the fact that even though the issue might be right, the opposition has just not found the right narrative and the right way to go about it? And do you truly believe that this is going to be an important issue? Vote chori has really been an important issue on ground.
Let me put it this way. I think Rajat Sethi spoke very well because he's been an advisor to the BJP and he builds a very good narrative in line with that. My concern as a citizen and as a media person is that the Election Commission is also saying the same thing, which it should not be, because an institution should sound different. Because let me put it this way. A lot in what Rahul Gandhi says about SIR and vote chori is a genuine concern that needs to be investigated by the media, by Election Commission. Now, so a lot in what he says about SIR reminds me of what Mr. Modi spoke during demonetization. It's all sounded very nice and theatrical. When the data came in, there was no gain from demonetization, either in terms of black money coming back or in terms of the shell companies coming out. So in politics, these narratives are part of the tactical because it's a game of poker meets rummy. This is where I'm saying. As institutions go, Election Commission should take this seriously because Election Commission's job is not to ask questions to political parties, but to give answers to the people of India. That hasn't happened. And we should be thinking as citizens about that aspect because it's not about whether the SIR should happen. Even the Supreme Court is in a no. But there have been issues about Aadhaar card, should be whether, you know, there have been questions of new roadblocks to what constitutes citizenship and votership. And there have been issues related to deletion of votes, and the timing, the manner, and the method of SIR needs to be seriously discussed and that is for us to go down the line in the coming days to do that. Politically, Rahul Gandhi is actually making one very strong point, which might be a brownie point for him on the margins, which is that if you have to assume that Rahul Gandhi is leading a left-leaning alliance, in that case, the poorer workers, the migrant workers, the ones said to have been deleted despite being bona fide citizens because they were just working in Tirupur and Tamil Nadu or Vizag, that there has been in post haste, there was too much haste. In that case, the classic assumption that the poorer worker or voter tends to vote the left might be standing to some logic. Otherwise, everybody who goes into the election EVM can vote anyone. You know, even the Communist Party member can theoretically go and press the Narendra Modi button. It doesn't happen like that. We can only discuss with some logical and ideological principles at play. That's what I'm saying. But having said that, this is a heated election, and Bihar, bottom line is that Bihar shows, like UP elections in the Lok Sabha poll showed, that the Hindi heartland is never a cakewalk for BJP as it is assumed. And political observers and business people should always keep their bets hedged because politics can change fast in this country.
Absolutely. And it's very difficult to predict what the outcome of this is going to be. 2020 was different, 2024 was different. But it will also be important to see the kind of ramifications or the impact that the outcome of this very crucial state of Bihar has on other elections that are lined up in 2026. Well, on that note, thank you very much, Mr. Sethi and Mr. Narayanan, for taking the time out and speaking to us here on ET Now. Ladies and gentlemen, Bihar has recorded over 60% voter turnout for the first phase of Bihar polls. Of course, remains to be seen how the voter percentage really turns out in the remaining phases and what the final outcome of that is going to be. But on that note, we're going to be slipping into a very short commercial break, but lots more coming up on the other side. You don't go anywhere and keep watching India Tonight.